You're listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and the interview subject coming up is Dirk Sauer, or Dirk Sauer. My apologies, Dirk, if you're listening. Dirk's from the outfit, a German outfit, called Edguy. The reason for the conversation is to promote Edguy's career retrospective, which has been released in 2017, and it is called Monuments. An appropriate title, really. So let's have a listen to what Dirk has to say. Here we go.
Well, I'm doing pretty good. The sun is shining. It's turning into summer here right now. So, we're going to start the festival season next week with Edguy, celebrating with our fans and friends. So nothing really to worry about.
Fantastic. And Edguy are releasing a greatest hits or a fan favourites package called Monuments on July 14. Now, this is cause for celebration because I understand that the release includes an album of carefully selected tracks from the band's career, a concert that was filmed in Sao Paulo in 2014, in Brazil, of course.
Mm-hmm.
All of the band's music videos, am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
And probably the crowning piece de resistance, if you like, is a coffee book table that chronicles the band's career. So it is a release that offers tribute to the tremendous accomplishments of the band over the past 25-odd years. So, Dirk, in your own words, how would you summarise Edguy's career to date?
Well, for me myself, it's a big thing in my life, of course, because when we started the band, we were kids, 14 years old, and we met at the rehearsing room of our former drummer to cover the music we like to, and it turned out to be our job for like many years now, and it took us all over the world, made it possible that we can play shows to our fans in Australia and South America, in Asia, all over Europe, in North America. It's just great, and I'm really thankful for those 25 years. And I have had the chance to live that kind of dream because I'm just happy for and thankful for living that life so far. And this is the reason why we want to celebrate this now. And hopefully there's another 25 years to come in the future.
Yeah, no, agreed. And the band started playing heavy metal at a time where there was very little love for the genre internationally. You wrote metal instead of making more contemporary sounds due to the various musical trends through each era, such as grunge, new metal, or any one of the hardcore, metalcore, or core prefixed genres. What's kept the band going for so long?
Well, like you said, it wasn't it was also a worldwide problem that heavy metal was out back then in the mid-90s. I mean, even the bands we started with here in our hometown area, they were all like playing that modern kind of music, like Pantera, for example, was pretty hip and that kind of stuff. But we always said to ourselves, we have to focus on the things you really do with your heart and you really love to do, because that's the things you're willing to put in 120% in your work. And for some reason, it pays out to be honest to yourself. I mean, I know a lot of musicians.
Great.
They've been they had big hair in the 80s, then they had different styles in the 90s and another different style in the 2000s, but they don't have their own style, and I think it's hard to explain. You just have to be true to yourself. It sounds pretty strange, not strange, pretty written in many biographies, but it's really like that. If you're true to yourself, you're true to your fans, and this is what counts in the end.
Yeah, I think, and my next question is going to allude to this point, but I think metal's in your DNA, no matter where you're from, whether it's New Zealand, Australia, Germany, Iceland, or Canada.
Exactly, and if you continue, it doesn't matter if you're listening to good music or if you do the good music. It belongs together, and if you're that, like you say, you have it in your DNA, it's there, and it's gonna be there. And I hope that a lot of people keep it in their DNA for a long, long time, because I think especially nowadays, the kids, some of them are missing that point of enjoying music and really listening to music, not like listening to something that is streamed the whole day and you have a pool of 20 million songs, you don't even know what to pick. And I think they should really take the time and carefully decide what's their type of music. I don't really care if they're listening to black metal or whatever, but I think it's a good thing that you choose your favorites on your own. And when I was a kid, I was like happy when I bought a new CD, and I did that very often in the beginning because you have to collect the money first. And then when you have a new CD, you listen to it over and over and over, and you listen to this album like for 3 weeks, just one album, but then you know everything from this album. But you still don't know how Jakey Lee plays his guitars on that shitty record. So it's like really having a relationship to music and not like just passing it by. It's listening to it and enjoying it and having a good time, and not listen to too many bands. Just pick the ones you really love and be happy with it.
Yeah, you make a really good point about Jakey Lee, because he was certainly a massive influence on myself as a guitar player, and I think I wore out the tapes that I had of Bark at the Moon and The Ultimate Sin. And look, The Ultimate Sin has gone on to become one of my favourite all-time records, but there are some questionable tracks on both, of course, some slower moments and some moments that probably wouldn't be there. But my point would be this, though. Do you think that back in the day when you and I were growing up with cassette tapes and CDs, and even people a bit older than us grew up with vinyl, it wasn't a choice back then. That's what the medium was. Do you think that young fans coming through are given the same opportunity to really live with music, or is the psychology of streaming services changing people's views so much now that they just simply don't persevere? They give things about 30 seconds opportunity to embed itself, and if it doesn't, then they move on to the new thing.
It's hard. Of course, there's a big chance to broadcast your product or your music to lots of fans using the internet, using whatever, if it's a streaming offer or it's YouTube or Facebook or whatever. It's a big chance, but I myself, I have a big problem with that mass of information. You're not able to consume that, and I'm sometimes really pissed off because of this information I don't want to see. If I open up Facebook, for example, it's like,
yes.
Are you still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
It's so hard to choose, and this is. Of course, I tried Napster and all that stuff as well, but I'm not the type of guy, because it's for me, I'm sitting there and it takes like 10 minutes to pick the first record, because you're like, okay, I could listen to this, but then, no, shall I listen to an old Victory? They don't have it. And it's so hard to choose. And if I just take those playlists they offer, for example, which is okay, but then it's like, I'm pissed because they play songs I don't want to hear.
Yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm too picky, but you lose too much time. And if I just put on UFO, Strangers in the Night.
Yes, excellent.
I know what I get. I know right away what I love, and I say, wow, the next track, that's it. Michael Schenker, best time of his life. And this is what people should feel when they listen to music, like really having especially when you're a kid. I have a lot of records that I started to listen to when I was young, and you have a kind of romantic relationship. There are also bands I wouldn't listen to nowadays, but for some reason, when I was 16 years old, I just loved them. And I listened to them, and when I listen to it now, of course, I share memories, and that's what people are really missing nowadays, because they're just sitting there with their cell phones and listening to a stream channel, and they don't even know anything about the artist that is behind that music, maybe.
Yeah. No, you make a really good point, and it's also a point that Brian Slagle from the head of Metal Blade Records made on one of the recent Jamie Jaster podcasts. It's either Pandora or Spotify. He's saying that metal and rock are unique to the rest of the genres in that the people listening to metal and rock tend not to go so much for the playlists. So what you're saying alludes to the point that rock and metal fans, by our DNA, I'll refer to that, that word again, DNA, we tend to want to stick with the artist. So we just want to put on a record. So say, if I want to put on an Edguy record, I'll put on an Edguy record. That's it. I won't necessarily blend Edguy with Morbid Angel and then say Jake Ely's Red Dragon Cartel, for example.
Yeah.
If I've got people over and if we're having some beverages and a barbecue or something, it's a bit different, but I'm passively listening to the music, so it's effectively background noise. But
exactly, that's why, for example, if I having friends here, I love having an iTunes playlist, but it's a playlist I do, or we have this on the sleeper bus when we go on tour. We had like fun tours when everybody was like bringing his iPod and everybody could show up and play his kind of music to the others and having a good party. But it's not like your own thing, and you're really sitting down and enjoying music. I mean, I have to say, the older I get, the less time I have to really enjoy music at home, for example, sitting there.
Agreed,
but if I do, I really try to pick the music I like. Of course, I'm open-minded to new stuff, but often it's like things that are like 30 years old, for example.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's a funny old world these days, actually, because I recently, and when I say invested, it's probably a 35-year-old Denon cassette player, but I've got 2 young daughters, and I went onto eBay because I couldn't find any cassettes in where I live in Australia. They just weren't for sale anywhere. But of all places, as far-flung as Poland, there's a few eBay sellers that are selling all these classic records by Celtic Frost and Morbid Angel and the like. So, of course, I've bought all of these these cassettes, and I'm now playing them at home. I'm getting my daughters to, you pick, and of course they pick what colour they want. So the red ones, because they're the closest ones to pink, of course, they pick them.
Yeah, okay.
So we're listening to a lot of Death's The Sound of Perseverance as a consequence. So, but I guess, it's that interactive experience too, isn't it? That's what I'm trying to do for my kids, is give them that interactive experience, and apart from listening to some great artists. But yeah, look, it's funny how things evolve, but in some ways everything old is new again, and there's nothing to stop us from getting cassettes or vinyl. Of course, I'm big into vinyl, and I'll ask you that question. Do you have a vinyl collection?
Not really, because when I started in the late 80s, I had a bunch of cassettes, of course, and we were like, when we started Edguy, we traded a lot of cassettes inside the band with Jens and stuff. He was like, and I had a CD player pretty early. And that was actually the time. I have a Razor's Edge from AC/DC and a few numbers of records, but not that much.
Cool. Let's talk about Germany for a moment, because Germany is, if not the hotbed, one of the hotbeds of heavy metal and hard rock, consistently over about, how long has heavy metal and hard rock been around for? Well, ever since UFO or Sabbath really sort of kicked things off under that gear, so 35, 40 odd years or so. What do you think it is about Germany and the German people and their love of heavy metal?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's Germany and Great Britain. They're basically responsible for all that shit. And I don't know why it is like that. Probably it's the tradition of playing musical instruments or whatever. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I love it because it's good that way. I mean, we have a big scene here in Germany, of course, and I think it's a lot harder if you're a metal band from Transylvania, for example. It might get hard to start something.
Yeah.
Or from Serbia or whatever.
Yep.
So I was pretty happy to start that in Germany. But also my hometown was like not really it's not really called the LA of Germany. It's more like it's a nice town, but it's not really rock and rollish. So
yeah.
But still,
whereabouts are you from originally? What town?
In a town is called Fulda. I'm still living here, and I pretty much enjoy living here, raising my kids here. It's perfect. It's kind of quiet, kind of small, but there's no scene at all. There was a small scene when we started, but for some reason, all these little clubs disappeared when you could do live shows in the weekends. And it's this whole disco thing started again. So there were some big clubs raising, but it's not really hip anymore to play an instrument, which is also a bad thing, because kids should really, I mean, you can't force them, and if they're not talented and if they don't want to, you should leave them alone, but you could work on it. It's much better to play the flute than doing Snapchat.
Oh God, yeah. You've just touched on a really important point there. I'm of a very firm belief that, I mean, I did when I was growing up. I had an opportunity to play instruments such as violin, clarinet. I even went on tours as I was in a choir. I can kind of sing these days, but nowhere near good enough to sing in a choir or what have you. But are we globally? Do you think? I mean, let's talk about Germany and Australia, because that's where we're from. I don't, and it might be the same in Germany, but I just don't feel as though there's the emphasis on learning musical instruments with kids from a young age. They can sort of pick something up for 5 minutes and put it down. Is that an illusion? Am I reading too much into things there, or is that how it is in Germany as well?
But I think it's a matter of parents now. I mean, if the parents are in that generation that are not interested in those kind of things, and I would totally say it's a cultural thing with art, music, and all that stuff. I mean, you can't force things with kids, but you have to offer this. And of course, I bought a small guitar for my boys, even if they don't play it. And I'm not sure if they ever start playing guitar, but I thought, hey, come on, it's $30. It's fun to have it. And of course, sometimes they just pick it and pose like daddy, which is pretty cool. But if they're not into it, I just don't do it. But you have to offer it. And this is what is so easy nowadays. Because, I mean, when I started, you had the investment was much higher for the parents. There was like one shop in our town, and they had to buy this classical guitar for like 300 Deutschmarks or whatever. Yeah. And nowadays you can really, from an online retail store, you get a guitar which is okay to try for $50. So there's nothing really you can do wrong. And if you don't need it, you can sell it on eBay for like $43. Yeah. So you lose seven
or even
euros.
Make a profit. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, or make a profit. Yeah. And I think it's a perfect way to start doing music, but you have to want to do it. And I mean, I was like an old father, or I am kind of, because my kids are quite young, so I started pretty late. But if people are like 20 or something, they're into that cell phone, smartphone generation.
Yes. Yep.
I'm not sure if they have the time to play an instrument, because they're so busy the whole day doing all these things nobody really needs. I mean,
No, I agree.
My niece, for example, she's 13 and she has so much fun with all those things going on, like Snapchat and all that shit. I mean, it's fun to watch it once or twice or whatever, and it's good for a laugh. But it's such a waste of time, in my opinion. I mean,
no, I'm with you. It's something that occupies your time, but you don't actually come out of it with a skill. And
exactly, it's killing time, which is like watching TV. That was maybe a thing when I was a kid, where some of the parents just didn't care about if the kids watch like TV for like 3 or 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. We've been the kids. We went out and we're biking and doing things with friends, like going out in the nature and whatever, doing something. Because I live in a small village here, and everything is green around us. So, and that's what my kids, for example, love as well. They just like to play in the garden and just be outside, which is good in my opinion.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, is it? What's the climate like where you are there? Is it fairly at this time of year? I suppose you're going into spring, or is it? It's first day of summer for you, isn't it? First day of winter for us today. So there you go.
No, it's 21st of June, I think. But it turns to be summer now. So it's the last week was pretty cool. very, 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 very. I think 30 degrees or something. Pretty hot.
30
for
degrees.
That time.
Yeah, gosh, yep.
But it's nice. I love it.
Is it the 31st of May where you are? Is it at the moment? I didn't realise.
No, first of June.
Yeah,
isn't it today?
1st of June. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm just thinking, gosh, are we that far behind or ahead? But never mind. Sorry, I digress. Dirk, I'll just do a time check. How are we going for time?
Oh, we're good. Just like a few more minutes.
Wonderful. All right. Now, I have 3 questions that I ask all of my interview subjects, so I'd love it if you could humour me here and play along. And your answers can be as not safe for work as you like, because we are an R-rated program. So here goes. Choose 3 words to describe yourself.
That's a hard question. Funny, trustable, and working horse.
Yep. If you could go back to when you were 18 and give yourself some advice, what would you say?
I should practice more guitar.
You'd become Edguy Malmsteen then, though, wouldn't you?
No, I would never become, but it could have been more practice back then.
Cool.
And it's easier when you're younger.
It is, yes. Yeah, that's the only statement that I remember someone much older than me when I was a kid telling me when I was a kid was, youth is wasted on the young, and they were so correct. They were so correct.
Yeah.
Final question. What 5 guests, living or dead, would you invite to dinner?
First of all, I would probably pick my wife. And then I would love to have Phil Lynott, maybe, from Thin Lizzy.
Awesome, yep.
It's going to be probably all the dead ones, because with the other ones, there might be a possibility to catch them somehow.
Exactly, yep.
Ronnie James Dio, I mean, I had the chance to share the stage with him a few times, which was great, but
awesome.
He was just like one of the best singers in history, in my opinion. Bon Scott, of course.
Mm-hmm.
He was even more one of the best singers in history, because it's like, yeah, this band was so great. I wasn't even alive when they started, and they've done it great. I've listened to a funny version of "It's a Long Way to the Top" from a female singer, and it's such a great song. It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, he's I play in cover bands, and I can't tell you how many singers out there emulate Bon Scott. In Australia, he's the patron saint of our pub and rock scene.
Yeah, we have an AC/DC cover band. They are good friends of us, and they have a singer. It's hilarious. It's amazing how good he is. If you go there, and all the band is really good. If you close your eyes, you think he's there. It's really amazing. They're called Fake. You should check it. But he's really, really good. They do it for fun. It's a fun cover band, and they're doing it, I think, 25 years now.
Yep. What's the name of the band? Sorry, did you say Fake?
Fake. Fake.
Yep. Okay, I'll look them up.
You can check it out.
Yep.
And who else could be on this table? I would probably pick John Lennon as well.
Yeah,
and Elvis would be nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty very musically slanted, but totally expected from a guitarist of your caliber. So there you go.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's about it. Have you got any final words for Australian listeners? Actually, this podcast goes everywhere. I've got listeners in Bosnia and all sorts of places. But any final words for the listeners?
Well, yeah, of course. A big, big, big thank you for supporting us for those 25 years. And I hope to catch some of you on the upcoming Monuments Tour. And, stay rockish. Keep it in your DNA, like you said. And, I see you somewhere someday. And, hopefully for another 25 years.
Fantastic. Well, on that note, congratulations on a wonderful career. You're an excellent guitarist, and I'll definitely be in the audience, and hopefully I'll be able to share a beer with you when you guys come down to Australia.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure, mate. No worries. Have a good one.
Okay, have a good one. Bye.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
You've been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that interview subject was Dirk Sauer, or Dirk Sauer, from the German power metal outfit Edguy. Thanks so much for listening.